In Vietnam's dense Phong Nha-Kẻ Bàng jungle, archaeologists broke into a sealed cave never touched by modern humans. What they expected was just another limestone chamber. What they found instead shattered scientific assumptions. An underground world with weather, alien-like life forms, and physics that didn't obey known laws. Floating stones, bioluminescent creatures, rhythmic pulses in the rock. This wasn't just a cave. It was a constructed mystery, hidden for millennia, possibly never meant to be found. The discovery that stunned the world. Deep in the dense jungle of Phong Nha-Kẻ Bàng, Vietnam, satellite and thermal scans detected something no one expected. A massive void buried beneath layers of forest and limestone. Initially, the readings looked like glitches. LiDAR systems designed to map terrain kept failing over the same spot, as if electromagnetic noise was confusing them. Geologists first assumed it was a technical error, but repeated scans showed a consistent anomaly, a voluminous chamber unlike any typical karst cave system. What made it stranger was the chamber's symmetry, something nature alone rarely produces. Local villagers in surrounding hamlets whispered eerie stories about the area. Animals avoided the region, the elders said, as though something unnatural repelled life itself. Hunters spoke of paths that animals refused to cross. Indigenous folklore hinted at places where the earth breathes. Whether legend or coincidence, these accounts formed a chilling prelude to the scientific discovery. An international team of speleologists, geologists, and explorers assembled. Reaching the site required hacking through thick jungle and scaling sheer limestone walls. In several places, ancient rock falls had sealed entrances, hiding the cavern for millennia. Using controlled demolition and cutting-edge drilling equipment, the team finally breached the blockage. When the last boulder fell away, a gust of unseen air surged out of the darkness with surprising force. The team's instruments recorded a dramatic temperature drop as fresh air rushed from the depths. It felt to the first explorers like a giant exhalation from the earth itself. There was an immediate sense that this discovery wasn't just another cave. It was something fundamentally different, something alive. Scientists exchanged stunned looks. What lay beyond was bigger than expected, but what it was remained an open question. With the sealed barrier finally broken, the world was about to see something no human had ever witnessed directly, and that first breath of cave air was only the beginning. First glimpse inside, a breathable world underground. Stepping through the opening for the first time, the exploration team experienced something astonishing. Breathable air. As soon as they crossed the threshold of the newly opened chamber, a rush of cool, oxygen-rich air poured over them, accompanied by a heavy, damp mist that seemed to rise from beneath their feet. One veteran spelunker described it like walking into a living world, as if the cave itself were breathing. Temperature sensors logged a sudden drop as the air expanded into the main chamber. Instead of stale, stagnant cave air, there was circulation. Layers of warm mist drifting upward, clouds forming near natural skylights in the rock above. It was both alien and strangely familiar, like entering a rainforest compressed underground. Acoustic devices revealed another peculiar phenomenon. In typical caves, echoes bounce outward. Here, sounds behaved oddly. They seemed drawn inward, as if the chamber absorbed and focused energy rather than scattering it. A shout near the entrance didn't echo back. Instead, it was pulled deeper into the darkness. Scientists at the front cried out in confusion, hearing their own voices diminish rather than reverberate. Visual scanning showed something even more unexpected. The interior was not chaotic like most limestone caves formed by slow water erosion. Instead, it had near-perfect symmetry, with walls and features that appeared balanced and proportioned. This was no random underground maze. It looked designed, harmonious, and thoughtfully arranged. The team's geologists debated whether natural processes alone could produce such regularity. The consensus was uneasy. This doesn't behave like a usual karst system, one of them noted. The geometry, the acoustics, nothing adds up. As more light from headlamps spilled into the vast space, the explorers realized that they weren't just inside a cave. They were inside a preserved, self-contained world. This atmosphere, The acoustics and the symmetry challenged everything known about subterranean geology. What was once a statistical anomaly in satellite data had become a physical realm full of mystery and possibly life. And with that realization came a deep, mounting sense of wonder and foreboding. A hidden biosphere. Weather inside an ancient chamber. What the team saw next defied every expectation of subterranean environments. Beyond the entrance and initial chamber lay a vast, self-contained ecosystem, unlike anything documented underground. Within minutes of entering, explorers noticed droplets falling from above. Not drips from stalactites, but actual rainfall. Tiny clouds swirled at ground level. Air currents drifted like a miniature weather system in motion. It was as though the earth had swallowed a piece of the surface world whole. Towering ferns, vines, and plant life thrived in the dim light filtering through natural skylights in the cavern ceiling. Some plants resembled species seen in rainforests, but they existed here in complete isolation. No visible connection to sunlight outside, except through scattered shafts of filtered light. These plants were larger than what scientists expected for an underground biome. Their root systems ran deep into the ground, tapping into unseen moisture sources, sustaining them in what should have been darkness. Genetic sampling began immediately, and what researchers found was jaw-dropping. Many plant species had no known matches in global botanical databases. They exhibited DNA signatures unfamiliar to science, as if evolution had taken a separate path within this hidden world for thousands, possibly millions, of years. One particular vine caught everyone's attention. It reacted to touch and movement in a way more animal than plant, with tendrils curling around objects in slight pulsing motion that resembled contracting muscles. The biologists could find no classification for this behavior. Humidity sensors documented a pattern resembling surface weather, rising mist, localized condensation, and micro-wind patterns forming without any mechanical fan or external influence. The ambient atmosphere was stable and refreshing, with oxygen levels similar to the surface, fostering the growth of these isolated life forms. This hidden biosphere was a breakthrough, an entire underground rainforest, complete with weather cycles and living ecosystems. It wasn't just a cave, it was a world within a world, thriving in defiance of conventional biology and geology. The deeper explorers went, the more it became clear. This cave was not merely discovered, it was unearthed, like a secret long forgotten by time. Extraordinary life, creatures no one expected. As scientists pushed deeper into the hidden chamber, they encountered life forms that defied classification. The initial surprise gave way to utter astonishment. In shallow pools and moist soil, they found eyeless lizards that swam like fish through the mud, their bodies adapted to total darkness. These creatures lacked the pigment and vision typical of surface dwellers. Evolution had rewired them for an unseen world. But it didn't stop there. In crevices where water pooled, metallic exoskeleton spiders skittered with uncanny speed. Their carapaces reflected light like polished copper, giving them an almost mechanical appearance. Crustacean-like organisms with translucent shells clung to damp stone, their bodies resembling fine crystal formations more than biological tissue. One of the most chilling discoveries was of bioluminescent organisms. These creatures emitted light in response to motion, not unlike a living sensor network. When drones or researchers moved near them, they lit up in swirling patterns, like underground constellations responding to presence. The fog banks deeper in the cave posed another challenge. Even radar drones lost function when entering these zones. Operators watched in frustration as feeds cut out, replaced by static and warped audio. The cave's own atmosphere seemed to interfere with electronic signals, further isolating this hidden world. Then came the moment no one expected. A creature approached a camera lens almost intentionally. It paused, its form unfamiliar. Slender limbs, a smooth reflective surface where eyes would be, and an eerie stillness that held the gaze of the entire team. The silence that followed was deeper than absence. It was recognition. Scientists pulled back and exchanged uneasy glances. They had not stumbled on a biological curiosity. They had uncovered a biosphere of entirely new life categories, organisms that had evolved in isolation, untouched by surface ecosystems. These were not cave variants of known species. They were beings with fundamental differences, adaptations beyond conventional biology. The cave was no longer just another geological find. It had become the cradle of extraordinary life, hidden beneath the surface for untold ages, waiting to be seen. The center of the world, the mysterious lake. At the heart of the hidden chamber, explorers found a perfectly oval lake, unlike any subterranean body of water ever documented. Rimmed with rocks that looked like obsidian, the formation seemed almost purposeful. When team members tapped these rim stones with instruments, they didn't respond like ordinary stone. They produced clear, bell-like tones resonating like struck metal. The water itself was baffling. It held a mineral profile typically found only near hydrothermal vents, deep under the ocean floor, impossible given the lake's inland location and the geology above it. Temperature measurements showed the lake was warm and stable, a stark contrast to the cool air of the surrounding chamber. It seemed to maintain its own equilibrium, neither cooling toward ambient cave temperatures nor fluctuating with external influence. Geochemists collected samples immediately. The elemental signatures were like nothing expected in limestone caves. Unusual concentrations of sulfur, rare earth elements, and dissolved gases that don't normally occur together in freshwater systems. When analyzed, the water chemistry suggested underground reactions far more complex than simple groundwater percolation. The lake's existence raised profound questions. What was feeding it? What kept it warm? How did it achieve such unique chemistry? There were no visible inflow or outflow streams, no signs of volcanic activity, and no plausible heat source. It behaved as though sustained by an unseen energy source. Scientists also noticed that aquatic life here, though minimal, was equally strange. Tiny organisms in the water bore microscopic patterns that matched symbols found deeper in the cave walls, hinting at something perhaps interconnected across the ecosystem. No explanation fit. The lake did not belong to any known category of subterranean water system. It was isolated, stable, and somehow functioning outside established geological models. At the center of this hidden world, this mysterious lake was not just water, it was a pivot of unanswered questions, a natural phenomenon that defied reason and demanded a new understanding of Earth's hidden depths. When physics breaks, the strange second chamber. Beyond the lake, the team entered a passage that began like any other until the rock changed. The walls shifted from limestone to a dark metallic stone, smooth and symmetrical, as if machined. As they moved deeper, small stones began to float, hovering above the ground without any visible force. Gravity, it seemed, no longer applied normally. Stalactites grew sideways, spiraled, or split mid-formation. Crystalline walls responded to sound, not as echoes, but in rhythmic pulses, like the chamber itself was alive. Whisper, and the walls shimmered. Move, and they hummed back. Instruments confirmed it wasn't an illusion. This wasn't geology. This was interaction, a chamber where physics behaved differently, bending around sound, matter, and motion in ways no scientist could explain. The silence among the team said it all. This was no natural cave. It was engineered, responsive, and seemingly aware. And deeper within, they felt something else, a rhythm pulsing beneath the surface. Signal in the stone, rhythms that shouldn't exist. Deep inside the second chamber, instruments detected something impossible to ignore. Rhythmic tremors. These weren't random seismic noises. They were precise, repeating pulses, steady like a heartbeat. G-phones confirmed the pattern. It didn't vary the way natural rock stress does. It behaved like an engineered frequency. Then the team found a stone slab etched with unknown symbols, older than any recognized writing system. The carvings resembled a symbolic score rather than language. When sensors were placed near the slab, the tremors intensified, as if the stone itself interacted with the signal. Beneath it was a cavity of absolute silence. Instruments detected nothing, no sound, no vibration, no waves. Beyond that void, Radar revealed a spiraling hexagonal structure descending out of range, perfectly symmetrical in 3 dimensions. This wasn't just geology, it was an architected space shaped by rhythm, pattern, and intention, something no natural process could fully explain. A pattern across the globe. What seemed local soon became global. A separate research team in the Arctic detected the same rhythmic heat pulses found beneath Phong Nha-Kẻ Bàng. The timing matched to the millisecond. 2 sites, worlds apart, pulsing in sync. Archived data from a Soviet drilling project in 1987 revealed the same signal, once dismissed as noise. Now it fit perfectly. Astrophysicists explored whether neutrino resonance, particles that pass through Earth, could explain the synchronization. Early models suggested a match. The implication was unsettling. These locations weren't reacting to local geology, they were responding to something deeper, a shared trigger or system beneath the planet's crust. Coincidence became unlikely. What emerged was a harmonic signature, precise and connected, hinting at intentional design across Earth itself. And as this realization set in, the discoveries ahead would challenge not just physics, but life. Life undefined, creatures no catalog exists for. Above the rhythmic stone formations, explorers found something that shattered biological expectations. In upper chambers, they discovered waxy nests filled with organic matter that defied classification. These weren't simple fungi or bacteria. They were complex, self-organizing structures the team struggled to place on any known evolutionary tree. Microscopic analysis revealed genetic material with familiar building blocks, nucleotides, proteins, but arranged in entirely novel sequences. These organisms appeared somewhat related to arthropods and subterranean life, but were fundamentally different. Their biological architecture suggested an evolutionary path unconnected to anything on Earth's known life systems. The most disturbing find was a cluster of creatures about the size of a human hand. Translucent and gelatinous, each had a single central eye that opened and closed like a shutter. The eye's structure mirrored sensory organs, but in an unmistakably alien form. These beings moved with eerie coordination, as if guided by a shared internal rhythm rather than instinct or neurons. When one creature locked its gaze with a camera lens, the moment felt almost intentional, blurring the line between observer and observed. Groups of them moved not randomly, but in synchronized patterns that looked choreographed. Biologists were left stunned. Were these remnants of a lost branch of life, or something that evolved under completely different principles? Whatever they were, one thing was certain: this was life redefined. Aftermath: the cave's effect on humans. Returning to the surface wasn't a simple journey home. Members of the expedition reported startling changes. Some felt distortions in time, hours stretching into minutes, or flickering like a broken film reel. Others experienced vivid, lingering hallucinations that remained real long after they left the chamber. Neurological scans revealed unusual activity in memory and reasoning centers of the brain. Patterns weren't random, they were coordinated and abnormal, as though certain neural circuits had been rewired. One team member, without explanation, began drawing complex geometric patterns that mirrored resonance structures recorded deep inside the cave, patterns he had never seen before. Another began speaking in proto-language phonetics, uttering sounds that resembled ancient extinct languages from disparate cultures. Linguists called them structured, meaningful, and wholly unfamiliar. A leaked internal memo warned of lasting neural interference, implying that exposure to the cave environment might permanently alter cognitive function. Instead of publishing their findings, authorities chose to seal the cave again, citing psychological and neurological risks. The closure wasn't just physical. Access was restricted, data classified, and research agendas rewritten. Some believe the cave's effects were simply too disruptive to explore further. Others think the world wasn't ready. Either way, the cave now sits between myth and science, sealed beneath the jungle, its secrets waiting for a future humanity better prepared to understand them. The cave is sealed again, its entrance buried, data classified. What began as a discovery became a warning. that some places hold truths too deep, too disruptive for now. Whatever was down there wasn't just ancient, it was waiting, and the world, it seems, still isn't ready to understand what it truly uncovered.